Okay, so you shared some really quite powerful material recently about the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine.
Yeah, absolutely. Really highlights the ongoing needs.
And today we really wanted to, dive into the work of two specific organizations that are right there in the thick of it.
Right.
Definitely they provide a direct line into the reality there. Paul Mykut is the director of Ukrainian Christian Outreach, or UCO. That's a U.S.-based nonprofit. And they work hand in glove with a Ukrainian nonprofit group. People are more precious than gold.
Hmm.
Let's call them PAMPTG for short.
PMPTG, got it. And they're based in Dnipro.
Right, in Dnipro.
Right.
Led by Ihor Zarnadze. So it feels like a very direct connection to, well, the front lines of this crisis.
And it really hammers home the need for support, doesn't it?
Exactly. And we've got quite a mix of sources, a firsthand account, some website info, impact reports, funding requests. Gives us a pretty clear picture, I think.
Of their activities, what they're actually achieving.
Absolutely.
A local group like PMPTG leveraging resources.
And getting humanitarian aid out on a scale they maybe couldn't manage alone.
Yeah, that multiplier effect.
But even with all this, the needs are still growing. It's not enough.
The pressure keeps building.
And the volunteers, they're offering aid, but also, hope.
Absolutely.
And then there's evacuation work.
Getting people out of danger zones.
Exactly. They've managed to evacuate over 5,000 people from active conflict areas.
5,000. Just think about the logistics, the risk involved in moving that many people safely.
Yeah.
It says a lot about their bravery and organization. You get a sense of the ongoing pressure from the war.
UCO is the U.S. side nonprofit acting as the support channel, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, a vital lifeline, really. They focus on getting the resources, the support from here over to PMPG.
Which lets PMPTG concentrate fully on the ground operations.
It seems like a pretty smart setup, dividing the labor like that.
It can be really effective in crises. Cuts down on delays, make sure help gets where it's needed fast.
Now, the need they describe, it's pretty staggering. And the goal here is really to understand the kind of support they're offering to people just devastated by the conflict, and also get a sense of the organizations themselves.
And the people behind them, like Paul of UCO.
Right. And the fact that he actually, volunteered in the refugee shelters himself, that really stood out to me. It makes it feel very grounded.
Oh, absolutely. That kind of firsthand experience, it's invaluable, isn't it? Gives a real gut-level understanding of what's needed.
So let's set the scene a bit. Eastern Ukraine, Dnipro as this major hub.
Well, the sources make it pretty clear. The conflict in eastern Ukraine, it was still intense.
Right.
I mean, the war has forced huge numbers of people from their homes, especially the Donetsk region. That was still, a major hotspot, heavy fighting.
And that meant people were moving.
Constantly. A huge flow of people heading west for safety. And Dnipro, well, it became a major hub for refugees fleeing that violence.
So people arrive in Dnipro, often with nothing. What were the immediate needs? What did the sources say they were facing?
It boils down to the absolute basics, really. Survival stuff.
Yeah.
Getting evacuated safely in the first place. Then shelter, food, obviously. Critical supplies for families, kids, older folks who are particularly vulnerable.
Yeah, makes sense. And the crisis was actually getting worse because of a hold on U.S. aid.
Yeah, that definitely jumps out. It adds another layer of complexity, doesn't it?
It must have.
Absolutely. I mean, any disruption to aid in a situation like that, it has huge knock-on effects. So you've got this urgent, desperate need for evacuation, first of all.
And then shelter, food, basic supplies for everyone, families, kids, older people. It's a really tough situation, and that's what people are more precious than gold PAMTTG. And it's interesting how they had to adapt. Before the war, their focus was different, wasn't it?
They were working mainly with local kids from low-income families, but then, bam, February 22 happens.
And they pivot immediately, turning their children's club into a shelter, starting evacuations.
Right. That kind of quick response, turning on a dime like that, it says a lot about their connection to the community, I think.
Definitely. And they're not doing this alone, are they? They mentioned partnerships.
No, definitely not in isolation. They've linked up with some major players, the Ukrainian Humanitarian Fund, World Vision, UNICEF.
The World Food Program, too. That partnership in the Donetsk region sounds huge.
It really does. Reaching, 91,000 people every month with food aid?
91,000. In Donetsk.
Yeah. Think about the logistics of that, the sheer scale in such a difficult, dangerous area.
It's hard to even imagine. And then back in Dnipro itself, they have their shelter.
Right, on Nemyrovo-Chudenchenko Street. That started September 2022, I believe.
And it's grown by late 2024, providing refuge for 122 displaced people every month. That makes it one of the biggest shelters in Dnipro.
A really significant safe haven for so many. And it's not just shelter, is it? They're still doing evacuations.
That's right. Initially from places like Donetsk, Kharkiv, Kherson.
Mhm.
And even now, despite everything, they've started evacuations again from the Pokrovsk district in Donetsk.
Still going into those really dangerous frontline areas.
Yeah, using a minibus, bringing out over 20 people a day to safety.
Wow. That level of commitment, day in, day out, it's just remarkable. You have to wonder about the toll on the team doing that work.
Absolutely. And beyond that immediate crisis stuff, PAMPTG still has these other ministries running.
Like support for people dealing with addiction.
Yeah, and one-on-one ministry, home visits, street sports for kids, children's clubs.
It's a very holistic approach, isn't it? Addressing all these different needs, even with a war going on.
Yeah,
Shows real dedication to the whole community.
it really does. And that brings us back to the partnership with Ukrainian Christian Outreach, UCO.
Right, the U.S.-based nonprofit,
Yeah.
a 501c3.
Which is important for fundraising in the States, allows for those tax-deductible donations.
It's crucial. And it seems UCO really sees PMPTG as, well, a lifeline. Their role seems focused on getting the funding needed.
Funding to keep all these PAMPTG programs going and maybe even expand them.
Exactly. And Paul Mycutt, the UCO director we mentioned.
Right. His contact details are in the UCO website.
It really emphasizes that direct link, doesn't it? Trying to channel that U.S. support straight to where it's needed in Ukraine.
Yeah, UCO clearly believes deeply in what PAMPTG is doing and wants to help make it sustainable.
Okay, so one specific PMPTG initiative that really jumped out is the Dream Center for Children.
Ah, yes. In Dnipro on Bodana Khmelnytskoho Street.
What makes it stand out is that it's described as unique and completely free.
Totally free, yeah. For local kids and displaced kids, ages 2 to 8, which in that context is huge.
Absolutely. Access to any kind of early childhood support must be so difficult for families caught up in the conflict.
You'd think so. And the services they offer there are pretty comprehensive.
Like they have a daily kindergarten program.
Gives the kids some routine, some normalcy. But maybe the most striking thing is the ABA therapy program.
Applied Behavior Analysis. And it's the first free program like that in Ukraine.
Apparently so, which is incredible for families with children on the autism spectrum. They also have a sensory room.
Right. Those are vital spaces for helping kids with ASD regulate.
Individual mentors for kids with ASD, psychological support for the parents too, which must be so needed. And they do monthly events for the community.
It's really well-rounded support. And the story behind its founding is quite personal, isn't it?
Very. It was founded by Valeria Zernatsy.
Because of her own experience with her son's ASD diagnosis.
Exactly. And facing the high cost of therapy herself, she wanted to create something accessible for other families.
A really powerful motivation. And it's intentionally inclusive, right? Serving kids with developmental differences alongside neurotypical kids.
Fostering that understanding. And they even hope to open an inclusive school eventually.
That would be amazing. And the impact is already there. Over 4,000 participants in events since 2022.
Yeah, significant numbers. And currently, over 50 kids attending regularly. They've actually changed how they group the kids this year, based more on individual needs, across 6 groups.
That shows they're adapting, learning what works best, and having Olga Malikova involved.
The executive director of the Ukrainian Association of Behavioral Analysts?
Yeah, her supervising the communication groups adds that layer of professional expertise. Ensures quality.
Definitely. And the space itself sounds really well thought out.
Shared areas for socializing, the sensory rooms we mentioned, even an outdoor playground.
So important for kids' development, especially when they're dealing with so much stress.
And they do free ABA training for parents too.
Yeah.
Collaborating with ABA Ukraine.
Yeah, empowering the families to support their kids at home. It's really thinking long term.
It really is. And the center isn't just helping kids and families, it's creating jobs too.
Right, 25 staff members, including displaced people themselves and parents of kids with special needs.
Giving back to the community in multiple ways. And providing ongoing ABA training for the staff as well. Building skills.
And they have big plans for the future, adding a second floor, more intensive ABA programs, that inclusive schools, sports.
Shows a real vision, a long-term commitment.
But all this incredible work, well, it costs money. A lot of money.
No doubt. The proposal is clear about the need of being through $28,000 per month.
$28,000. Just to sustain things, maybe expand a little.
And they break down some of the costs, which helps understand where donations go, Shelter operations, the Dream Center, a youth sanctuary.
Street Sunday schools, apartments for displaced families, and of course, fuel and food for the evacuations. That never
It
stops.
makes it very concrete. You can see how donations directly provide safety, food, a place to stay.
Absolutely. And for listeners who might feel moved to help, the UCO website has those donation links, Ukrainian Christian Outreach.
A very direct way to support PAMPTG's work on the ground.
So, stepping back, PAMPTG's overall mission. It's about recovery, relief, but also something more, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like it's about building community, that sense of mutual support. And it all comes back to their core belief.
People are more precious than gold.
Exactly. Every single life matters. It's right there in the name.
And Pastor Ihor Zernaji is the director of PMPTG. His details are also available.
Right. Website, contact info, they're very open. Based right there in Dnipro.
They even have regular Sunday services at their center on Alexander Donchenko Street.
Deeply embedded in the community they serve. And, bringing it back to the personal level, that account from Paul Mykut's visit in February 2025.
Oh, that was powerful, hearing about the refugees he spoke with.
Their stories. Homes bombed, pulled from rubble, losing everything. Just devastating.
And yet he describes this incredible resilience, this gratitude for the help they're receiving.
He asks how they are, and despite everything, they just say, good. It's hard to comprehend that strength.
It really is.
And he mentioned sharing his own family's Ukrainian refugee story from World War II, creating that connection.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a moment in visiting the Dream Center.
Hearing the kids laughing. He called it a beacon of hope, Christ's hope in a dark place.
A powerful image. And ultimately, what do they all long for?
An end to the war, to go home, to a free Ukraine.
That's the ultimate hope. But in the meantime, it's the small things too, isn't it? Like finding comfort in a pet turtle, he mentioned.
Yeah, those little anchors. And the faith aspect is clearly strong too. He quotes John 16:33.
In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Seems that faith sustains many people through this.
It really seems to. It's just, well, an incredible testament to human endurance and the absolute critical role groups like PMPTG and UCO are playing.
Absolutely. It's not just about food and shelter, though that's vital. It's about hope, community, dignity.
The work PMPTG is doing with UCO's support, it's genuinely remarkable stuff right there on the front lines of this crisis in Dnipro.
Making a real tangible difference every single day for people who've lost so much.
So, thinking about all this, the dedication, the impact, it does leave you with something to consider, doesn't it?
Like how interconnected things are. Even crises far away.
Exactly. So maybe the thought to leave with our listeners is this. Considering how linked our world is, what role can we as individuals actually play? How can we support these kinds of efforts, foster hope, even from afar?
It's a big question. But perhaps a starting point is simply learning more. Check out the websites for Ukrainian Christian Outreach, and people are more precious than gold. See the work for yourself.
Definitely worth exploring, and maybe considering how each person might be able to contribute to that vital mission of hope.